Welcome back. We're here today with Brandon Kelly. Brandon's been with us at Matchbox for 5 years. Brandon, what's your role here at the Kavanaugh?
I am a small projects manager. I came in about a quarter of the way through when this was still bare bones, and my project focus was mainly doors and finish work.
Speaking of finish work, one thing I want to talk about today are the floors. All the floors here at the Kavanaugh are the original floors. Can you tell us a little bit about the process that goes into restoring the floors, giving them new life?
Yeah, originally there was patches of carpet and old glue that has been here for as long as I've been alive, over 30 years. The next step was to rip all that up and take up an industrial belt sander, which we went through, I think, 400 belts.
Wow.
That's just to get to the grain after all the adhesive and everything is moved up, and then you finish sand with a lower grit. A lot of the floors had like patches where it was actually falling through to the subfloor. So we took some of it off, so some of it's new, some of it's still the original. But then they seal coated all of this and gave it a good polyurethane coat. I mean, you can see this shimmer on the wood, which, your shoes would stick to this floor beforehand. So that took about 3 weeks to do all 3 floors.
Wow. I think the floors are a really great example of Matchbox's dedication to giving new life to these old buildings and keeping that character intact. Another thing I think Matchbox does really well is taking that character but also incorporating modern touches, which brings me to my next point that I want to talk to you about are these doors here at the Kavanaugh. And I know you said you specifically worked on doors, and so can you tell us about that process?
So I have a personal relationship with each and every one of these doors. All of these are the original, except for a couple that had to be ADA compliant. So you're talking about these doors, which have had about 15 different layers of paint over the course of 70, 80 years. Getting it down to the bare bones and removing the old hardware, which was an old mortise lock, to put these fancy Bluetooth enabled locks. So we had to do a lot of patching and sanding, and then more patching and sanding just to get it to where it was. And also the old hinges that they used, we changed into self-closing hinges, so the door shuts effortlessly.
That's really cool. I know you mentioned the Bluetooth locks. Could you show us how they work?
Yes, so there's a central mainframe wired into this whole building, and each individual lock has an identification code, which is an app on your phone or a fob. But as you can tell, wow. They're real fancy. We're actually one of the first few companies in the United States to use these. They're very popular out in the EU, so we're just giving it a shot pretty much.
Brandon, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to chat today and giving us a little bit more in-depth insight. The team here, you all have done incredible things. It really is. It's awesome. Everyone watching, we appreciate you all tuning in and learning more along with us. I'm Phil with Matchbox Realty.